It's your boy John the Liquidator coming back with major super news, man. I'm probably one of the first people that's finna report on this, and just remember where y'all heard it first. Guys, so it looked like the Cleveland Browns front office is playing a game of devil advocates, and they're playing major games with Shedeur Sanders and his roster spot.
You can't say enough good things about Shedeur Sanders. So he has a big announcement to announce. Man, let's talk about this. So what's going on, everybody? Today, we're going to talk about a major announcement from the Shedeur Sanders himself. And it's got fans buzzing headed into the next season after a rookie year full of pressure, growth, big moments with the Cleveland Browns.
Shedeur Sanders in a group chat with two new quarterbacks, and one of them might be his replacement. Shedeur Sanders dealt with so much draft drama. Questions about his attitude. Questions about him holding the ball too long. Questions that no other quarterback past the third round would get. Had a coach who obviously didn't like him, and he still showed he was the best rookie quarterback in the draft. He got a Pro Bowl as a rookie, and the Cleveland Browns just showed they still...
The Browns are plotting to replace Shedeur Sanders, but Coach Prime is about to expose everything. This your boy John Liquid. Remember where y'all heard it first. And one of them might be his replacement. So, don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. So let's be real about what just happened. Because if you blinked, you might have missed how insane this moment actually is. Everybody wants to brush this off as just NFL business. Like this is some routine front office chess move. It's not. This is wild. This is not normal. And it sure as hell isn't something that happens to a young quarterback who was just publicly crowned as the guy. When replacement talk starts this early before the foundation is even poured, that's not competition. That's instability. That's panic. That's an organization telling on itself. And if you felt something was off the whole time, if you felt that disconnect between what they were saying and what they were doing, you weren't crazy. You picked up on it. Because the words never matched the energy. 1 minute it's smiles, praise. He's our future. We believe in him. The next minute, you've got quiet phone calls, private workouts, side conversations that don't line up with the public message. That contradiction doesn't just happen by accident. That's a front office playing both sides. Think about how rare this is. A young quarterback barely gets his feet under him, still learning the speed of the league, still adjusting to NFL windows, still trying to build chemistry, and already the whispers start. Already the contingency plans are being drawn up. That almost never happens unless the organization never fully believed in the pick to begin with. Because teams that believe in their quarterback protect him. They invest in him. They insulate him from noise. They don't leak doubt into the ecosystem before year 2 even starts. This is bigger than one player. This is about process. This is about trust. And this is about how franchises quietly sabotage their own investments and then act shocked when things fall apart. We've seen this movie before. We've watched teams rush judgments, flinch under pressure, and create chaos where patience was required. And every time, the quarterback wears it even when the dysfunction starts way above him. Because let's be clear, this isn't about missed throws or bad reads. This isn't about talent. This is about an organization that says one thing to the fans and does another behind closed doors. And that kind of disconnect spreads. It hits the locker room. It hits the coaching staff. It hits the quarterback's confidence whether people want to admit it or not. Football players feel everything, even the stuff no one wants to say out loud. That's why this moment matters league-wide. Every fan base watching should be paying attention because this is how careers get rerouted. This is how narratives get rewritten before the story even has a fair first chapter. When teams don't align internally, when belief is conditional instead of committed, no amount of competition talk can hide what's really happening. So slow it down. Strip away the PR. Look at the timeline. Look at the mixed signals. And ask yourself the one question nobody in that building seems willing to answer honestly. If he's really your guy, why are you already looking over his shoulder? Let's ground this conversation for a second, because before we talk about replacements, rumors, or politics, we have to be honest about where he actually stands right now. This rookie didn't walk into some clean, perfectly built situation. He walked into chaos. Pressure from day one. Expectations louder than the protection in front of him. New system, rotating pieces, and an offense that never really settled. Most rookies would have folded under that. Most quarterbacks don't even get a chance to breathe in that kind of environment. He didn't just survive it, he showed you something. Go back and really watch the tape. Not the hot takes. Not the box score scroll at the bottom of the screen. Watch the throws, the timing, the way he stayed calm when the pocket collapsed before roots even developed. You saw poise. You saw arm talent. You saw moments where the game didn't look too fast for him at all. And those moments weren't accidents. They were glimpses of what happens when instinct meets preparation. And that's why fans rallied behind him so fast. It wasn't hype. It wasn't name recognition. It was recognition. People saw a quarterback taking hits, getting back up, and still standing in there. Still competing. Still trying to make something happen when nothing around him was stable. Fans respect that. Locker rooms respect that. You could see it on the sidelines. You could see it after big throws. Teammates responded when he was in the game. Energy changed. Body language changed. That matters more than people want to admit. Football players know when a guy is fighting for them, and they don't fake that reaction. Now let's talk reality versus expectations. He wasn't supposed to carry the offense immediately. He wasn't supposed to be perfect. But somehow the standard shifted overnight. Suddenly every mistake was magnified. Every incompletion became a referendum. That's not normal rookie treatment. That's pressure without protection. With no protection. With no stability. With everything stacked against him. Put any rookie quarterback in that situation and tell me the outcome is clean. Tell me the development curve is smooth. It doesn't happen. Yet despite all of that, he still flashed traits teams spend years searching for. Pocket awareness, toughness, confidence that doesn't disappear after one bad drive. And when you look at the numbers, you have to look at context. This wasn't a quarterback operating behind a top 5 offensive line. This wasn't a system built to make his life easy. These were tough downs, broken plays, and constant pressure. Stats don't show how many times he had to throw hot. Stats don't show how often he had to improvise because protection failed early. That's why reducing his rookie year to surface-level analysis completely misses the point. Development isn't linear, especially in dysfunction. Growth doesn't show up neatly in the box score, so when people ask, what is he right now? The answer is simple. He's a young quarterback who proved he belongs. He's a player who earned belief from fans and teammates in the hardest way possible. And that's why this moment feels so wrong. Because this isn't a question of talent, it's a question of trust. The doubt didn't just appear out of nowhere, and that's the part people don't want to talk about. This didn't start today. This started the moment they drafted him. Go back to draft night. Listen to the language. Watch the coverage. It was never just about football. It was tone. It was hesitation. It was that subtle pause before the praise. You heard things like raw, needs time, strong personality. All those coded phrases that sound harmless but carry weight, especially when they're not used evenly, especially when other quarterbacks doing less, showing less, get patience baked into the conversation from the jump. And that's where the double standard creeps in. Some QBs are allowed to grow, others are asked to prove themselves immediately. Some mistakes are learning moments, others become character flaws. Some confidence is called leadership. Other confidence gets labeled attitude. And once that narrative sticks, it's hard to shake no matter what you do on the field. Because here's the truth. Skepticism lives long before the first snap. It lives in draft rooms. It lives in coaching preferences. It lives in front offices that wanted someone else but didn't get their way. And when that happens, belief becomes conditional. You're not playing to develop, you're playing to survive. You could feel it in the way decisions were made. Play calling that didn't fully commit, short leashes, inconsistent messaging. A lack of real investment in building an offense that fits him instead of forcing him to fit something already broken. That's quiet resistance. That's an organization hedging instead of empowering. And once that seed is planted, everything starts to make sense. The lack of developmental patience, the whispers about replacements, the feeling that no matter what he did, it was never quite enough. Because when a quarterback wasn't their guy, the evaluation never really stops. It just waits for confirmation. That's why these replacement rumors feel pre-planned. Not reactive, not sudden. planned. Because you don't start scouting exits unless you already decided the outcome. You don't quietly prepare alternatives unless you're already bracing for justification. And you don't leak doubt unless you're trying to soften the blow. We've seen this before. We've watched quarterbacks fight uphill battles against perception while others coast on projection. Think about how long it took some guys to earn trust that others were handed for free. Same league, same position, different rules. And what makes this moment so uncomfortable is that the dots connect too cleanly. Draft night narratives, media skepticism, coaching hesitation, lack of protection both literally and figuratively. It all points to one thing: belief was never unanimous. That doesn't mean he failed. It means the environment failed him. It means development was compromised by doubt. And now, instead of correcting course, the organization is reaching for the escape hatch. Because when teams don't fully buy in, they don't double down. They distance themselves. They protect their image. They prepare explanations. And now, finally, the mask is slipping. This is why the timing of all this doubt feels so backwards, because this is actually the moment when quarterbacks usually take the jump. This offseason wasn't about survival anymore. It wasn't about just holding on and making it through the storm. This was the first real stretch of time where the game could slow down, where film study starts connecting to instincts, where mistakes turn into adjustments instead of scars. And you can see it in how he's moving now, in his confidence, in his body language, in the way he talks about the game. Growth doesn't always show up loud. Sometimes it shows up in calm, in command, in the way a quarterback walks into the building knowing he belongs there. And everything coming out of this offseason points to a player who didn't flinch. He leaned in. More time in the playbook, more ownership of the offense, more leadership moments that don't make headlines but absolutely matter inside a locker room. Because here's what people forget. Pressure either breaks quarterbacks or sharpens them. And the ones who make it, they usually look exactly like this right before it clicks. We've seen it before. Think about Jalen Hurts, how fast the narrative flipped once the game slowed down and belief finally aligned with opportunity. The talent was always there. What changed was trust. This offseason mattered more than the last one because now he knows what the league feels like. He knows how fast windows close. He knows where the hits come from. And instead of shrinking from that knowledge, he's using it. That's the difference between surviving and ascending. You don't hear panic. You hear purpose. You don't see a quarterback trying to prove he belongs. You see one preparing to prove people wrong. And that shift is everything. That's when confidence becomes dangerous in a good way. This is also where organizations show who they really are. Because moments like this are forks in the road. You either lean into development or you run from it. You either double down on growth or you reset out of fear. And history tells us the teams that get impatient usually pay for it. This is when quarterbacks are made. This is when quarterbacks separate themselves. This is when franchises choose who they really are. Do they trust the process they started? Or do they panic at the first sign of noise? Because doubting a quarterback right when the foundation is finally set, that's how you miss the payoff. That's how you let growth walk out the door just as it's about to turn into results. Everything about this moment suggests he's on the rise. The work, the mindset, the response to pressure. And that's what makes the doubt feel so misplaced. Not earlier, not now. Because now is when belief actually matters. And that brings us to what happens next. This is bigger than one season. And that's the part that separates noise from truth. Because when you zoom out, this isn't just about a depth chart or an off-season rumor cycle. This is about legacy. It's about whether belief wins over fear. It's about whether a young quarterback gets defined by early chaos or by how he responds to it. Moments like this don't come often, but when they do, they draw a line through a career and dare everyone involved to choose a side. I've seen this play out before. When organizations panic, they chase the illusion of certainty. They convince themselves the next option will be cleaner, safer, quieter. But football doesn't reward fear. It rewards conviction. Quarterbacks aren't finished products, they're investments. And the ones who become something special usually do it because someone believed long enough to see it through. So here's my bold prediction. Either he rises right through this doubt and makes it undeniable, or this franchise spends the next few years explaining why they let growth walk out the door. There isn't much middle ground. You don't flirt with replacement talk at this stage and come out clean unless you're right. And history says teams are usually wrong when they flinch early. To the fans watching this, I know it feels familiar. You've seen talent questioned before it's fully formed. You've seen patience run out before progress could show. And you've also seen what happens when belief finally aligns with opportunity, when a quarterback gets the support, the reps, and the trust to turn flashes into results. That's why this moment hits. Because deep down, you know what this could become. And to the organization, this is the quiet challenge. Decide who you are. Decide whether you build or bail. Decide whether you're strong enough to finish what you started. Because replacing belief is easy. Building around it is hard. And the teams that get it right usually aren't the loudest in March. They're the ones lifting trophies years later. You don't replace belief, you build around it. Some franchises chase answers, others develop them. History always remembers who was right. This chapter of the story isn't about stats or headlines. It's about choice. It's about whether fear gets the final say, or whether growth does. And whichever path gets chosen, we're all going to see the results play out in real time. So now, I want to hear from you. Drop your take in the comments. Do you believe this is the moment he breaks through? Or the moment the organization makes a mistake it can't undo? If you want to stay locked in as this story keeps unfolding, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because this situation is moving fast, and the truth always comes out eventually. And trust me, this story isn't finished yet.